there going to be an Agatha season 2? Well, technically, I think it's more there's going to be a WandaVision season 3. It's an interesting dilemma that has arisen. For me, and I've always said this, it's always been clear that Agatha All Along was about discovering Wiccan. But because they wanted that to be a surprise, they really kind of sold the show as being about Agatha. And then when they introduced the sexy relationship with Rio, even Jack Schaefer herself has said she was surprised that, Jack Schaefer, she puts so much stuff out there, sometimes it hits more than she expects, which is a fascinating talent that she has. I mean, she just gives us so much. And, some of it, is embraced more than she anticipated. And she said, seeing how much, how Agathario has become a thing, she does wish she'd given the fans more on their backstory. But for some fans, Agatha All Along was really about Agathario. So you're like, what do you mean it's about Wiccan? To me, it's Wanda and then Wiccan. And then again, the search for Tommy will be how the story continues. But, I guess it's a good problem to have. So let's discuss it. Let's discuss it. But I think clearly the plan is next is a Wiccan series, Searching for Tommy, with a coven of 2, Billy and Agatha, surrogate son and surrogate mother. Aww. All right, now Jack Schaefer, speaking of Jack Schaefer, she has said she hasn't signed on for any more work at Marvel. But hopefully the contract's just being worked on. Because after Multiverse of Madness, it's hard for us to trust anyone else with the Maximoff family. Now, sure, there are a lot of great creative voices in Hollywood if you search for them. Terry Matalas, by the way, from Star Trek's Picard, the later seasons, which are apparently the good ones, he's a great choice for the upcoming Vision show. So other good voices are out there, but Jack Schaefer, she's proven to be rather special in my opinion. I wouldn't let her go if I were Kevin Feige. It would be a real travesty if he does. Not just in her handling of female and LGBT characters, which has also proven to be a very difficult thing to do in the fan space, and she's done it really well, but also her ability, and this cannot be, overvalued, it's really important. Her ability to create complex mysteries for fans to dive into, which makes for fantastic streaming content. It's not just Easter eggs. Easter eggs, if you look at it just as like throwing out Easter eggs, yeah, that can seem kind of cheap. But when you take the time to sew in the breadcrumbs and the reveals and weave an incredible story, I mean, that's really how it's supposed to be done. And it's funny because Jack Schaefer doesn't even really come from the comic book space, and yet she's so good at crafting a mystery. And she's only getting better. WandaVision was so fun, but I think Agatha All Along even surpassed that in terms of story complexity. The reveals in episodes 8 and 9 were some of the best I've ever seen in any medium. I'm still unpacking stuff from now that the show has ended about things that were revealed. And it's so great for social media because people have such a great time, posting their finds. So it's really good stuff. Now, unfortunately, at least so far, Agatha All Along has not had WandaVision levels of viewership. I think it started out kind of close, but it's slipping. It's fallen out of the Nielsen charts with episode 4. And also WandaVision came at the early days of streaming, and now there's a lot more competition from new and old content. But it has dominated social media. It has avoided toxicity, which is incredibly hard to do these days, particularly for female-led LGBT content. So again, kudos to Jack Schaefer and her team. And also the show is extremely inexpensive, we've heard. So that's good. Basically, Agatha All Along did what Disney had hoped The Acolyte would do, and that's make fans who aren't into Marvel, basically like overall, come into the tent for the brand. And that's wonderful. That's great. And, that fan base, the Wanda Agatha Wiccan fan base, I guess maybe even Wanda Agatha Rio fan base and Wiccan, are very loyal and very vocal. And that itself is a valuable thing for a franchise to have. By the way, they've been asking where Wanda is for 3 years, and the beat of that drum has not grown at all, has not quieted down at all. And so, I think that's, a nice thing to have, and good luck if you upset that fandom as well. So I think Kevin Feige, it would be wise for him to keep this fandom fed. So I can see a Wiccan show being greenlit. I think it's the obvious and easiest next step. But what are the next steps? Kevin Feige is still deciding. He has a lot on his plate, and he's way overextended at this point. Again, he has 9 projects coming out next year. So, and let's hope we don't have to wait another 3 years to get the next chapter of this story. But it's not going to be totally that long. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to tell you what I'm hearing about the options that are being considered, because nothing is concrete yet. But there are some, and also, as you know, especially with Marvel, things often change at the last minute. But there are some very interesting moving pieces and potential opportunities. So that I'm going to give you like a snapshot of where things stand at the moment. So, but yeah, I'm sure many of you are like, yeah, that's nice. But when are we going to see Wanda? Elizabeth Olsen's being more vocal about it herself. So Wanda is coming. A Scarlet Witch movie is being considered, but she will almost certainly be a big part of Avengers Doomsday, which is quite clever. Want to make Robert Downey Jr.'s Doom instantly popular? Team him with Wanda. Look what she did for Doctor Strange. Close to $1 billion. Many of us believe, I think correctly so, thanks to Wanda. And also, she will be played by Elizabeth Olsen, I hear. It won't be a variant of Scarlet Witch. And also, that relationship has comics credibility. Will it be a romantic relationship? That I have not gotten a concrete answer on. I hope not. I think, again, with the history between Tony and Wanda, that would be a mistake. I think that would seem it would have the ick. All right, but I'm also hearing she might have a cameo in the Vision show, which would make sense. If you read the Vision comic, there was a wonderful issue featuring the Scarlet Witch, which was also him remembering her, interestingly enough. And then also, she might very likely show up in Secret Wars, which is going to be a very crowded movie. Everybody's probably going to be in Secret Wars. So that's pretty soon. Avengers Doomsday is in 2026, and so is the Vision show. So 2026 is likely the year of Wanda. Now, as for that Vision show, I'm hearing it's shifted a bit creatively, and it is no longer largely based on that fantastic Tom King comic. That's too bad. Go pick that up. Although, again, I trust this new showrunner. But instead, I'm hearing that White Vision is on the run and looking back at his past. Cue that Wanda cameo. But here's an interesting tidbit I'm hearing. I'm hearing that he'll have a teen co-lead, but I did not hear who it is. It could be the reincarnated Tommy. It could be Vin, his son from the Tom King comic. Or here's another interesting possibility, Amadeus Cho. All right, but first off, going back to Vin, would it maybe be that, because, Vin is a creation of Vision. He created his own family, just like Wanda did in that Vision, Tom King comic. Now, would that be interesting that Vision does the same thing that his wife does, but, with technology instead of magic? By the way, there was some detail revealed about Wiccan's cloak from the costume designer, and the print on the cloak on the outside is Wanda, but on the inside is Vision. Oh, I thought that was so nice. And they said he keeps his parents close to him, which I thought was an interesting choice, considering, at least based on the dialogue, he wants nothing to do with his parents. But he represented them in his cape, so I guess deep down he does. Now back to Amadeus Cho. I know that he's in the Hulk corner of the Marvel comics, but they're already doing Hulks with Captain America Brave New World. And I'm sure Amadeus Cho will eventually end up in that corner of the MCU, but don't forget he's also a tech genius, and if Vision is on the run, he's probably going to need some assistance, and so that could potentially, be who he gets it from. Also, there's a rumor that's been going around that Logan Kim from Ghostbusters landed this role, and it would track with Vision about to roll camera in early 2025. So we'll see. We'll see who Vision's co-lead turns out to be. And again, they could change it at the last minute. But I really don't think it could be Tommy, because then what the heck would Wiccan do? That's Wiccan's whole it's his mission statement. Let's go find Tommy. And he's got to deal with the fallout, by the way, because he did reincarnate Tommy without consulting Tommy. He put him in just a body that Wiccan chose. And also, Tommy's not a witch, so he probably has a very different viewpoint on the whole thing. He's more Avengery. And also, I think he'll be, obviously they've aged up considerably. They've done that before, but jumping right into, past puberty, I think is interesting for both of them. And also, Billy's had 3 years to find himself. He's gone full witch. And so, we'll see what Tommy's like. I think that could be very, very interesting. And then, of course, they're supposed to go find Wanda. That's how it worked in the comics, but it's already out of order because they find her with Doom. That's supposed to be the big reveal, but that's already going to be revealed, it seems, in Avengers Doomsday. I mean, maybe if they started the Wiccan show as soon as possible, they could maybe get it to come out same year in 2026. But, the Vision show is coming out in 2026. And the MCU just doesn't move that quickly. So that's weird. That's weird that Wanda would return and Billy wouldn't be there when she did. I hope that Billy is, and Agatha. I think I guess the thing is that because again, Robert Downey Jr. messes this all up because the focus is now, oh my gosh, Doom has Tony Stark's face, and everybody reacts to that. But it's supposed to be reacting to Wanda being alive and that she's with Doom. She's supposed to be the focus of the reveal, but now it's been changed, it seems. And so, it totally negates the purpose of the Children's Crusade storyline. So, Jack Schaefer, you got to stick around and fix this mess. I mean, and it is a little bit of a mess. I guess the MCU Magic Corner audience is a little smaller, so they don't get the same consideration. But as a comic book fan, it is a little bit frustrating. Now, speaking of the Children's Crusade, a Young Avengers movie is also apparently, I hear, in development. But again, it can't be the Children's Crusade storyline because that big reveal is already being given to the Avengers Doomsday movie. I think a Young Avengers movie, by the way, is a mistake, unless it's a Disney Plus movie. I mean, I'd rather have junior level Avengers on the main team, like interns or trainees, rather than an entirely separate junior league. I just don't like the idea. I mean, I'm just not seeing it. Wiccan, by the way, to me, already looks like he's ready to be on the Avengers. He looks great, and he's incredibly powerful. And wouldn't he be needed, by the way, to take on Wanda? That is a very interesting question. Will we get Doctor Strange versus Scarlet Witch round 2? But remember, in round 1, he couldn't beat her. She had to forfeit, and this time she's going to be teamed up with Doom, who is a very powerful science and magic user. So Doctor Strange, he definitely is going to need help. There's Loki, who's a bit preoccupied right now. I don't know if he can get out of that chair. And then Wiccan, of course. So I think you got to call Wiccan in. There's also the witches who lived, sort of. Agatha's ghost, Jennifer Kale, and of course Rio, aka Death. They could be brought in, but you got to bring in Billy and Agatha. By the way, I forgot to mention in my breakdown of the finale that Agatha is a ghost just like her mother. Maybe that's where she got the idea from, that it was possible. And yes, we do often turn into our parents, whether we like it or not. I thought that was actually a great callback. Again, days after finishing Agatha, stuff occurs to you because it's just that rich and complex. Now, could any of these witches again show up in Avengers Doomsday? And can Wiccan show up on his own? Does he always have to have Ghost Agatha there? But I mean, again, if Wanda's going to be back, you got to have Billy and Ghost Agatha at least there to react. Just like Peter Parker needs to say, when he sees Robert Downey Jr. as Doom, we need Billy and Agatha right next to him when Wanda is there as well. And then maybe Peter Parker and Billy could be friends. They're actually, in the same age group. That's an interesting idea. All right, so anyway, so Tommy might miss that first family reunion. What? Poor Tommy. Always the bridesmaid. All right, what about the other witches, though? Do they have any possibility of striking out on their own? Jennifer Kale? I don't think so, but she could return in a Wiccan show, which I think everybody would want to see. She turned out to be a phenomenal character. And as many people said, she never got to show her crown off, so we need to see her crown. As for Rio, aka Death, I hear she's going to be used in multiple projects. She's now a player that can be used anywhere. So that's a great opportunity for Aubrey Plaza. There's the Thanos and Deadpool flirtations, although those possibilities seem to really upset some Agatha All Along fans. Understandably, but remember, Agatha wants nothing to do with Rio, plus Agatha is now a ghost, although I don't know if that would be an issue for Death. But Rio, she's got to move on, or at least take a break. But I can understand some LGBT fans' frustration with putting two characters who are supposed to be at least bi into a straight-looking relationship. It was the same frustration some fans had with Loki saying that he was bi, but then only dating a woman. I mean, it was the female version of himself, but again, it was another straight-looking relationship. Which is, again, another reason that Wiccan and Agatha were such important representation and additions to the MCU. So when is Teddy coming, by the way? Most likely, I would suspect on the Wiccan show. The Wiccan show, by the way, already has a lot to play with. It sounds excellent to me. Greenlight this show. Wiccan searches for Tommy, maybe falls in love with a Kree Skrull prince, woo! And also, I don't want to see that other actor from Heartstopper, largely because he doesn't want to do it. He's made that very clear that he doesn't want to be tied to Joe Locke for the rest of his career, which is understandable. I'm sure they could find another great actor who will do a fantastic job with the role. And then also, Billy learns more about magic and being a witch from Agatha. Plus, there are other magic users they could meet. Oh boy, more toys! There's Nico Minoru, whose mother already made a cameo in the first Doctor Strange movie and will be an animated character in the upcoming Spider-Man series. We still haven't gotten Enchantress from Asgard, and although that could be a little bit messy. And also, just bring in Loki. And then, of course, one of my favorites, Jericho Drumm, aka Brother Voodoo. This character would be such a phenomenal addition to the MCU, who, like Wiccan, has also been the Sorcerer Supreme in some comic book storylines. Also, while the new Scarlet Witch comic has awful writing, gorgeous art, which is why I keep occasionally picking it up, but I think the writing is truly horrible. But it has introduced some cool new characters. One in particular is Hexfinder, a witch hunter and killer. She's like Gore the God Butcher, but for witches. And I think that could be really, really interesting. But speaking of hunting witches, how about Rio, aka Death? Would she be also hunting Wiccan and Agatha, since they both continued to cheat her? And of course, Rio surely wants to find Tommy herself, because now he's cheated Death as well. Speaking of expanding the world of magic in the MCU, don't forget that Ironheart is right around the corner in 2025 and will not only feature the Hood, a magic user, but also rumor has it Mephisto will finally appear. With Mephisto, the Hood, and Robert Downey Jr.'s Doom, as well as Loki, we're starting to have more men in the MCU's Magicverse, and maybe therefore broaden the fandom for this section as well. So to reiterate, 2025, Ironheart. 2026, Avengers Doomsday and the Vision series. And then in development, we have a Scarlet Witch movie, a Wiccan series, and a Young Avengers movie. And we'll see, and oh, by the way, yes, Rio is now a character in the MCU overall. Of all these things, again, I think the priority number one, greenlight of the development aspects, is greenlight that Wiccan show as soon as possible. And I hope to see him and Ghost Agatha at least as a cameo in Avengers Doomsday. I think Wiccan, and therefore I guess Ghost Agatha, I think they should be full-fledged members of the Avengers team, if you want to know my choice. I think it's a waste to put him on Young Avengers. I want him on the main team for Avengers Doomsday. I think that would be a phenomenal idea. That would be great. That would be such a great idea. All right, so how does all of this sound to you? And I have to say, the magic corner of the MCU is becoming a really interesting place. And with all due respect to Doctor Strange, and I have enjoyed his movie, I enjoyed the first one. Very, very touching movie, actually. But I'm glad that the magic corner of the MCU is being pulled more in the Loki-Agatha direction, which I find so much more appealing. All these shows, by the way, have been absolute fire. The best things on Disney+. And I think that would benefit Doctor Strange as well to head more in this direction. I think up until now, he's been a little bit bland, particularly in comparison to Loki and Wanda and Agatha stories. All right, so share your thoughts down below, subscribe today, and of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.